Good morning and welcome to today's community chat. We have Executive Director Angela York from THRIVE Peninsula here with us. We're going to be speaking about this new free grocery store pantry that we've heard a lot about this week, what their plans are, hopefully in the future, and what they're all about. So Angela, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Of course.
This is great.
If you want to get started, what is Thrive for people that don't know? There's going to be some B-roll playing as well that you all provided photos of, hopefully some plans, and we'll get to that. But, what is it so people know what your nonprofit offers?
Yeah, so we're a faith-based nonprofit in Newport News. We serve families across the peninsula, so Newport News, Hampton, and York County, really focusing on people who are in hardship. There's a lot of folks in our community who are facing hard times financially. We know that 40% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means that if something comes up unexpected in their bills, they can't overcome it on their own. And so at Thrive, we're really here to provide services so that we can keep families stable. We want to keep them stably housed and employed so we can prevent them from falling into a bigger gap, which could be homelessness. It could be the lights are cut off, not enough food in your house. And so we can prevent a lot of those issues if we can help them up front with some basic needs. And so this is actually our 50-year anniversary at Thrive.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're super excited about that. And we were founded by churches in our community who wanted to centralize aid. Today we have 80 church partners. We have a ton of corporate foundation partners, individuals who contribute to this mission. And we have a ton of volunteers too. So we actually have 165 weekly volunteers who are all our frontline workers. And their hours dwarf our paid staff hours. So it's a huge part of what we do.
And you're not just about food, but you also offer this financial is counseling, if you will, or stability. How important is that aspect of having that service connected in with the other offerings?
Absolutely. So the food is definitely the part that people know us for. The other side of the house is our financial assistance. We help provide emergency financial assistance to families who get behind on critical bills like rent, utilities, childcare, transportation, and we couple that with financial education. And that is so important because it's a foundation for how people can not just survive, but thrive. Because if you can build up an emergency savings, if you can improve your credit score, you're making long-term plans for your own stability. And those services are open and free to anybody. So anyone in our service area of any income can receive free financial coaching services because we want you to be healthy financially as well as physically through food.
Well, and I've heard that at other nonprofits, not having this sort of, point that you have to reach in terms of your own savings or point that you have to reach, in your own salary, and, to have it be open to allow services to a variety of people. How important is that to not have, them show you financial documents to prove that they're worthy of your services or anything like that? So
we kind of operate two programs in two different ways. Mm-hmm. So in the food program, anyone can come, and that is super important because somebody could have had a great salary last week but just lost their job, and they don't have savings, and they don't have an opportunity to go buy groceries or fill up their tank. And so it's really important that we allow anyone to come in for food. On our financial side of the house, financial coaching is absolutely open to anybody, any income. Our financial assistance program, if you're looking for help with a bill, we do have a lot of checkpoints there where we are looking for wage statements. We're looking for the bills. There's a lot of checkpoints there, but the other programs are open to anybody.
That's great. So, no one needs to come in and feel that they have to prove something to somebody or that they need to, jump through hoops asking for help in terms of the food and some of those financial services.
Absolutely. There's a really poignant statistic that says that 60% of food insecure families won't visit a food pantry. Wow. That means that you have people at home who are hungry, they're eating chips instead of fruit because the fruit's too expensive, and they're skipping meals. And that's not something that happens just in other countries. We hear it at Thrive all the time. Hey, I haven't eaten in a meal or two. I've been skipping meals. I'm only feeding my kids and not me. These are heartbreaking stories from families in Hampton Roads. And so it's very important that we are accessible to people, that we let them know, hey, it's okay to come and ask for help if you need it, because we want to help you. Again, do more than survive. We want you to thrive.
And you said this in a slightly different way earlier, but how close are people to having an emergency that would put them back, or maybe put them in this food insecure situation? I mean, it could happen, especially with inflation, with the cost rising of a lot of things. I mean, people could be just one, incident or emergency away from, facing, some sort of food insecurity.
Absolutely. So the 40% statistic I shared earlier, 40% of families don't have an emergency savings. That means they don't have $500 in the bank. $500, that's it. So what is that? That's a couple tires, that's medical visit, hospital visit. It really goes quick. I mean, $500 isn't that much money anymore. And we are receiving so many more requests for help right now because of inflation, because groceries have gone up. And if groceries have gone up 10%, 15%, most people didn't get a 10 or 15% raise. And so they actually have less money to buy basic things. We have found at Thrive over the past year and a half that about 30% of people who come to us for food are brand new. They have never asked for help before from us, and likely anywhere else. And so a lot of the folks we talk to, they're honestly really ashamed to be there. Some of them have cried over the phone. I've taken those calls. They're so embarrassed they have to ask for help. So if that's you, you don't have to feel like you're alone, because a lot of people are in this situation.
And, I think this stigma idea comes up a lot, or this idea that, you don't really want people to know that you're asking for assistance. But how common is it? I mean, it could be your neighbor, and they might have a job, and for all they have a home next to you and everything, but they're facing this problem. I mean, I think, I always try to make sure that people realize when we have conversations with nonprofits that help with, food insecurity, that it's not what you stereotypically think is maybe the person that needs assistance.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think most people picture our services as helping the guy on the side of the road with the sign, maybe, or people who are at home not working. The vast majority of people we help are actually working. They're working lower wage jobs. You probably interact with them every day when you go to the grocery store and someone's packing up your groceries. It could be your server at your restaurant. It could be the guy selling your car or bringing your car around or something like that. So these families are everywhere across Hampton Roads. And unfortunately, there's a lot of jobs that don't pay enough for people to afford their rent. One of the things that we talk about less is how much rent has gone up in our community. It's very typical for people to have a rent of $800 pre-COVID, maybe $900. Now that same rent is $1,100 or $1,200. And for people who don't own their homes, that is an incredible amount of money to pay for something that is your biggest expense. And that just went up a lot. And so that's taking up a lot of people's budgets. And so unfortunately, we're seeing that in the request for help. I mean, last year, Thrive, in 2022, we received 8,000 requests for financial assistance, 8,000 applications for financial assistance. That is an incredible amount of people who are in need of help. And that's just across the 3 cities, York County, Newport News, and Hampton. And we're not able to help all those people because we don't have enough money. I mean, it's really hard to say no sometimes because it could be devastating on the family. But we just help as many people as we can every day.
And then with the housing, I mean, the wait list opened up in Hampton at least for the first time, and that was a huge, thing to have happen. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess that says too how many people have been waiting for housing or waiting for that permanent place as well.
Absolutely. Affordable housing is a huge issue in Hampton Roads and our country.
And then, so how many people are you all able to help at the moment? I mean, is this, and I guess this might be a good point to get into sort of what you're hoping to do, but you know, is that number, are you trying to grow that number? Are you trying to grow, you know, the amount of donations and money that you all are receiving?
Yeah, so last year we served 18,000 people. So despite having to turn some people away, obviously, we're still serving record numbers of families every day. That's through all of our programs. And so we're very limited right now because of our space. We are in a 2,500 square foot office building, not meant to do these services. And so we're at the point, you probably see some of the pictures on the screen with grocery carts lining the hallways, offices stuffed with food. There's just no room to really add more and to do more. We've maxed this place out. And so we recently purchased a new building. It's the building is actually much larger. It's about 9,200 square feet. It's going to be a shared space. So we're going to use 5,700 square feet. So obviously more than twice as big, so that we can open the market at Thrive, which we believe will be able to kind of unleash our capacity to serve people through food assistance. And then we'll have a dedicated financial wing where we can offer additional financial services to people, really focusing on long-term financial health. And then we'll have a conference room where we can do classes and workshops and open that up to the community. In the center, it's actually super cool. We have a big cement plot, and we're going to put raised bed garden there that we can grow produce and feed the market, which is a great way to pass on nutritional food to families in crisis.
And when that press release came out from Food Line this week, I think a lot of people jumped on it. We saw people go to the article on wavy.com, and a lot of people had interest in it. And, you know, at first they hear free grocery store and maybe they have their own idea, but can you explain what that model means in terms of the food pantry?
Yes, absolutely. So the model is a few things. One of them is client choice. So right now we pre-pack our bags. It's kind of an interesting system because we do take into consideration what people want and need. But in our new place, the goal is that it's 100% client choice, which means you walk in the store, the free store, right, and you can pick out 100% of your own groceries. That gives you dignity. It allows you to pick out food that you want and need for your family, food that your kids eat, food that meets your dietary restrictions. And then you can walk out, weigh your food out and then meet you in the lot and bring your food out to you. But I think the misconception here is that, that's ridiculous. Like someone's going to walk in and take all their food. We've been doing this a long time. So we've had a food pantry since the 80s. So our plan is to do exactly what we do now, which is have an appointment system where a certain number of people can go in at one time. And then we'll have limits on the food that people can take based on the family size. And so we want to make sure that this market is accessible to anybody. And so, of course, we have limits so that everyone can take some food. But we hope that this new market will still be able to serve people a week's worth of food, which is what we do now.
Wow. And just to have that choice, and do you think that will cut down at all on the amount of people that maybe won't go because they'll have a little bit more of, choice and sort of, I guess, independence in it? Yeah,
I mean, we want to rebrand this as the Market at Thrive as opposed to a food pantry because of the stigma that carries. Again, people are staying home hungry because they're too ashamed to ask for help. If we can create at Thrive a space that feels less like a social services and less like a place where you're coming in with your hands out and more dignifying, like, hey, I actually feel like I'm in a Food Lion. Maybe they'll be more likely to come back if they need it. And that's really what we want, is we want people who need food to come and receive it.
Right. You don't want them to be sitting at home, as you said, in need, but just not sure of how to ask or how to get there.
Exactly. Yep. So we'll have a really clear appointment system where people can book online. They can do it now to get help through our pantry. And so then we'll set them up with an appointment time and they can come and shop for their family. What else is great about this new place is we'll have other services right on site. So if they want to work on their financial health, if they need to be connected to other resources, if they want to participate in some kind of workshop or class, we're going to have a ton of stuff on site for families to receive for free.
And then when is this hoped for, I guess, or expected?
Yes. So we've already purchased the building. The contractors are already on site doing work. The roof was just replaced. We actually just got a wonderful grant from Lowe's that allows us to renovate most of the exterior. So that's already underway. Interior renovation is going to start in a week or two. And so we hope to open by Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, you spoke of the food garden as well. I mean, how important is that for you all to be able to grow this produce on site for the market?
I just the thing I love about this, and you probably can't tell from the pictures, is that when you walk into this new building, the garden is literally the first thing you'll see because it's all glass windows looking straight into the garden. So that's actually a trauma-informed approach, because the first thing you're going to see is a garden, really creating a different kind of atmosphere. But when you pick food from a garden and put it in a food pantry, in a market for people to eat, it's at the peak nutrition of its lifespan. And so we're bringing people food that is fresh, obviously very local, but at its peak nutrition. And so it's not going to supply all of the produce that we need, but it just adds to a different feel, and it is going to connect people with healthy foods. We also hope in the lobby that we're going to be able to do cooking demos and offer samples, because maybe somebody's never had cauliflower or kale. I know a lot of people are haters on kale, but if we can make it tasty and show people how to make it and add some recipe cards, we want to change the way people view food and how they prepare it.
Right. And, to have that sort of fresh produce model right out front, I mean, that really does change what you had said earlier, the decision between, getting chips and getting maybe an apple or something that really at the grocery store is more expensive right now. So to have that sort of right when you walk in is definitely also making a statement in that way.
Absolutely. And it follows our motto, which is fresh first. So when you walk in the market, first thing you're going to see is the garden. When you go into the market to shop, produce is going to be offered first. We're going to have dairy items, eggs and milk, and then we'll have meats, and then they'll be able to go and choose their shelf-stable goods, which is pretty similar to a grocery store layout. So we're really aiming to connect people to healthy foods first.
And then the connection to the community to have, the ability to have either workshops or classes, as you said. I mean, that's really just continuing this sort of, even financial services, area, just like you all are making more of like a whole approach, it seems like.
Absolutely. Yep. So we're going to lean on a lot of our really stable partners to be able to offer workshops. We work with the Virginia Cooperative Extension all the time. Some of our other partners that have joined our capital campaign, we're excited for them to get involved. I know Food Lion wants to do recipe cards that will help people connect with healthy foods and healthy cooking. Riverside Hospital has been a huge donor to this facility, so we want to use them. Town Bank, Centera, we know that they're all going to want to come together and offer these educational workshops to help families get on their feet and do more than just survive.
And, how close are you all to this goal? Do you all still need assistance in getting everything together for the new building? Are you still holding this campaign?
Yeah, so our capital campaign is active right now. So our goal is 1.25 million, which is actually incredibly low considering we're going to serve about 30,000 people a year. But we have reached about 70% of our goal as of today. So we're definitely looking for people to contribute, to join our long list of partners, individuals, foundations, corporations. This building is going to be for our community, and we want the partners who come together to make it a reality, to be representative of that community. And so people can give through our website, they can get involved, but we absolutely need more support to bring this across the finish line.
And 30,000, it's not quite double, but it's almost double of that 18,000 number that you gave out. I mean, how important is that for you to be able to spread the resources now even more throughout the community?
Well, we're still at such an unstable time. I mean, our requests went up dramatically at the start of 2022. So that's when the government resources dried up after COVID. And so we saw just a tremendous spike in need, and it really hasn't slowed down. With inflation kind of pushing things as it has, I don't see any end in sight at this moment. I hate to, not have hope in that. Hopefully things will get better, but it's really important that we are here for people, because if we can help families remains stable, if they're not worried about how am I going to feed my children, how am I going to pay my rent. I mean, if you live in that state of mind, you can't thrive. You can't become an entrepreneur. You can't go out and volunteer at your school because of the mental load you're carrying. And so our services are really prevention focused. We want families to remain stably housed and employed. We want them to have the tools they need to thrive. And so if we can do that, we believe that thriving families make thriving communities. And so it's so important that our resource can be there to help these folks when they're in need.
Right. And then if you are in need, Angela, I mean, what is the best thing for you to do? Should you go online? Is there a number that you all should call?
Yeah. So I'll say if you're in Hampton Roads and you're not on the peninsula, I recommend you call 211, which is the statewide helpline. It's run through United Way. It'll connect you to resources in your area. If you live in Hampton, Newport News, and York County, you can go to our website, which is thrivepeninsula.org/help, and you can request services.
And then on the other side of that, if you're able to donate or if you're able to even volunteer and be one of your many volunteers, what's the best way to start with that?
It's all really through our website. So thrivepeninsula.org/volunteer. If you want to learn more about the campaign, it's thrivepeninsula.org/future. But you can become a volunteer. You can give to our campaign. You can become a monthly donor to all of our services. But the great thing about what we're doing in our new place is that if we can raise our capital campaign goal, that means the most resources go back to the community every day. And that's really what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. And then if anyone's watching, the Thrive is connected on Facebook and their website link is in the description as well. Well, Angela, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you get back to all the great work that we're talking about today. But, is there anything else that you want to mention, whether in regards to services or this upcoming project?
Just that we're really excited, and I want to thank everyone, all the organizations and people that are a part of Thrive, because we have a small staff at Thrive, and so it's important that we rely and we have so many community partners and volunteers who make this work. And anytime someone in our building says, well, look at the things you're doing, I'm like, no, we are doing this. Every volunteer who gives 2 hours is part of this coalition to help families in crisis. And so we want everyone at the table doing this work together because it affects all of us and it affects our community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Angela offered, where you need to go for resources. So please, take a look at the website and follow along with her directions on if you do need help. And thank you so much again for being with us.
Thank you.